Hello, my name is Molly. Thank you for joining me, my channel. I did want to just take a second and ask you, please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. I am constantly now coming up with things to talk about in video, and I would certainly love to share them if they are helpful to anyone at all. I'm just happy to be doing these. Surprised to say that because this is certainly not an area I ever saw myself in. I'd also like to take a second and tell you that I do write a blog, which is a little more comfortable for me, actually, even though it is still, it has a lot of information in there. And I do have a website with a couple of different kinds of products. They're energetic products that I have been creating to help people, to support people. So my website is motherearthsistermoon.com, and please feel free to jump on over there and see if there's anything there that is helpful to you. Okay, so I'm going to make this video a two-parter. I am going to begin by talking about I'm actually going to begin to talk about children. Okay. And just from an energetic perspective, how I see children, it does have a couple of parenting ideas in there, even though I by no means am an expert in parenting. I do have children, and I do not always come from these really calm, beautiful places as they are destroying the house. But I certainly have changed my perspective on children, even though I was always very drawn to children, even as a child myself. So I'm going to talk a little bit energetically here, but I think that this would probably resonate with most of the parents I have met. And certainly even if you're not an actual parent, right? Any kind of caregiver, you are really a parent, right? So let's talk about this for a moment. So energetically, I hold the belief that we are like souls, right? We are these greater souls, and then we come into body. And then there's certainly this veil of forgetfulness that we hold. But children, often that veil is not as thick as it becomes through our learning and growing, and I kind of want to say more traumatic experiences, as we're told how things are throughout our life, rather than perhaps hold on to those beliefs that we have as children, right? Which sounds so silly and childlike, but the reality is now through this spiritual journey, very oftentimes we're told to kind of revert to that. So it is funny, but also not funny. So let me talk about how I see this energy. So I see, first of all, each of us as a greater soul. So each of us can tap into and holds the energy of, right, this beautiful being, which can sound really funny, especially when you look at yourself and you think there's no way that I could be that. Or I've met lots of people that are certainly not some kind of beautiful being. But that usually is because we are surrounded by density and difficult situations, or limiting beliefs, or, tough, whatever they might be, right? So that's why oftentimes when you look at a child and perhaps they'll say something really, really wise, right? Or really amazing, and they look at everything with such beauty and wonder, right? What is that? What could that possibly be? If they're just this like pile of clay for us to mold, why are they having these moments of inspiration, and why do they have, right? So there's a couple points on here. So number one, I would argue that there's something to be said that being chose you to take care of them, right? And if you are thinking about your own parents and why would I ever choose them, there's always reasons, right? A lot of times we can come in and say, I want to take that challenge on, or I want to overcome that thing, right? So it's not that we come in and we say, I want to have this absolutely easy experience, because I suppose that idea that that's not where you learn the most or the fastest, or you grow with whatever you want to say. But so I would argue there is always a reason for everything, which I know can be tough and triggering on people, certainly if you've had a lot of abuse. But I'd still hold to that. And I would say that if that did trigger you, then there's probably something to look into there that you, again, have the strength to heal. Okay. So let's go back to the children. So the idea here is that when we are children, we have this energy of the sun. It's I'm talking about energies now, not genders, but I'm going to say it feels a little more masculine. So a masculine energy, again, I haven't said this yet, but we all hold masculine and feminine energies inside of us. So a masculine energy would be considered an action or outward. Okay. And if you've ever seen the yin yang, that's just explaining how, there's masculine and the feminine and feminine and the masculine, and how when you are able to balance those out, that's when you find that blissfulness, that balance, that peace. Well, I don't like saying peace, but okay. So as children, we are more outwardly focused, right? We are inhaling everything around us. Please be mindful of that. I don't know how many times I have heard people say they don't know what we're talking about, or those children don't get it. Trust me, if they don't know your words, which they probably do, but if they don't know your words, they are feeling and inhaling everything that is going on around them. So I never understood people that would say, oh, they don't know what's going on. They know, okay? If they don't know exactly what in the way that you know, they know in all the other ways, probably ways that you've shut down. So please be mindful of when children are around you, even if they're in the other room, they feel it, they know it, they get it. Okay. So we're very outwardly focused. All right. We are inhaling everything. Now, what ends up happening is once we get to that 12th, 13th year, right? There's something at, I think, around year 8 or 9 where the children will start to settle into some of these beliefs, right? They'll really start to settle in, and they are still picking up a lot around them, but they're going to start to kind of settle into what they believe, argue. But then by the time they hit 12 or 13, that idea that people say, oh, if they hit puberty, well, of course, I don't think anything is just physical anymore. It is an energetic shift. Okay, so right then is when they are going to start shifting into that more adult mindset, where they are going to they're going to go inward, okay, first, probably before they're going to necessarily go outwards. They're going to go and tap into themselves and say, do I believe that? Do I see that? Do I agree with that? And that's where a lot of the stuff that they picked up in their childhood can come into play, towards their support or their detriment, whatever, however you want to look at that. Now with girls, and I would argue again, there are masculine and feminine energies within all of us. So that's where you're going to get a lot of the shifting of gender identities and things like that. And I'm not saying that you need to stay with the gender that you're born in. Please don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm just saying that's where you're going to get a lot of people and children trying to balance this stuff out and decide how they want to express themselves in this life. Okay. So, I'm going to talk about the actual female cycle, though. So that's where I'm going with the girls. Once they start their cycle, okay, their menstruation cycle, their energies are going to shift now 4 times a month. Okay, so whereas we're kind of taught that we're supposed to stay, and I'm talking about we as a female body, that we're supposed to stay in this masculine energy of kind of being on all the time, right? If you're up, you're on. You go to work, you've got to show up, you've got to stay in a certain personality, right? And if not, then they're on their period, or they're being crazy, or they're PMSing, or we're throwing a lot of labels at. But what if we looked at it differently, right? What if we taught our children differently? So women actually go through, when they're menstruating, 4 cycles, energetic cycles or sections in a month, right? Just like the moon. That's where you get that moon cycle, that goddess energy. People keep talking about that. There is a similarity, right? We can also look at it like the seasons. All right. So when you are menstruating, so when a little girl starts to menstruate, that is, you call it like the dark moon, okay, or winter, right? The idea is that she's supposed to go inside of herself to figure things out. That's the energy of it. Then you're gonna move into the spring, or the pre-ovulation phase, right, or the waxing moon, and that's where you're going to start that springtime. What do I want in my life? What do I, and we can be fairly mindful of this. We notice a lot of women will get a jolt in their step. They'll be able to get a lot more things done. Perhaps they'll start cleaning a little more. There'll be that kind of energy. Then you move into the ovulation phase, which summer, nurturing, feeling a little more loving. Certainly, if you are in a romantic partnership, that's where women will feel like they want to have intimate relationships, things like that. You're in that phase. But even if you are not physically showing it that way, you can also be nurturing a lot of things. You can be nurturing an idea, a job, a love of something, right? Whatever that case may be, wherever you want to spend that energy, be mindful of it. That is when you have that energy to nurture something, to create something. You're in that energy. Then you're moving into the fall, or the I can't think of what it's called, but you keep moving into the pre-menstrual cycle. So you got that PMS, right? Like, oh God, she's so irritable. Because she's irritated at things, or you are irritated at things that do not align with you, right? This is an opportunity actually where we are being shown the things that do not align with us. So it's not that you are mean or crabby, or you just need to take a pill. It's that everything is showing you what doesn't resonate with you. What are the things that bother you? So please, as a parent, try to be mindful of this, that it's not just about, oh, she's just got really bad cramps. Well, then there's something going on. When our bodies are talking to us, especially loudly, we need to listen to them, right? Instead of just saying, oh, my body doesn't know anything. I'm supposed to be at work. Why am I cramping? Or why am I in such a bad mood? Well, let's tap into that. Why are you in such a bad mood? What is bothering you, right? And if we actually teach our children this way, think of how different their experience could be, rather than thinking there's something wrong with them, right? That there's something broken in them. Why do I have different emotions throughout my month when my counterparts don't? They feel like they're always in this kind of way. Well, it's actually an ability, and it's a strength. So let's kind of take our perspectives and look at it differently, and then we can support this. And then once those females in our lives are able to sit there and say, oh, okay, I'm in this mode, right? Let me work with that. Then they actually are taking their tools and they're using them for their benefit, right? Rather than fighting against our natures and thinking there's something wrong with us and putting ourselves down, or thinking that we're not as good as, right? We have these beautiful alignments and these beautiful energies that support us in our life, right? So I am certainly teaching my children this way. They're very young still, but I have both girls and I have both genders in my family. So I would like for us to all kind of come to a point where we can support each other, right? And that there's not one, that's a strength. And that is a beautiful strength, that boys don't maybe need to deal with some of that emotional baggage, even though I would argue most of the boys now have plenty of emotions that they're trying to figure out how to balance out. But, and that's another thing that we need to be, I think, it sounds a little judgy, but to be a little more responsive to, right? That this idea that men don't have those emotions that females do is, I think, silly. I think that we all hold these emotions, because emotions, again, are tools, right? They're tools to guide us and show us things. And as we learn to see them as such, then we are not being ruled by them, right? We're seeing them as the tools, not as the people that are running us, which I think many times I've certainly been run by my emotions. Okay, so if that was helpful at all, I think I will go a little bit more into the female cycle in another video, but I really wanted to just touch base on that as a parent, just for a different perspective as you're raising your children, as you're being a caregiver, or perhaps for yourself, just to have a different understanding of the energies of the masculine and the feminine energies, and where they do play into our genders. So if you have any more questions, please feel free to leave them below. Please like, share, and subscribe the video. Subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. And thank you so much for being here.